Hi there and welcome to the show. Well, a 12-person jury is now sequestered, deliberating the fate of Michael Rafferty, the man accused of kidnapping, sexually assaulting and murdering 8-year-old Tori Stafford. The culmination of an emotional 10-week trial. Well, Pat Harris is a criminal defense attorney who has served as a co-counsel for high-profile clients like Michael Jackson and Scott Peterson. He is in LA tonight. Listen, good to get you back on the show, Pat, because, boy, this trial, this case has got everyone in this country talking. I want to get your views on something here. It was this treasure trove of information that was found on the laptop inside the defendant's car. Now, the judge ruled police could not enter that, the Crown could not enter that because they didn't get a separate warrant, search warrant for what was on that laptop. Had they got that warrant, do you believe they could have entered this into the case against Michael Rafferty? The images of graphic scenes suggesting sexual assault of young children.
I doubt it. And I say that they would certainly had a much better chance. But again, the judge is going to be looking for things that are extremely prejudicial. And child porn is probably the thing that judges realize is the most prejudicial to a jury of any other kind of evidence. So I doubt very seriously they would have let it in. And the other problem the judges run into by allowing that kind of evidence is they then have to let the defense defend against it, which can mean the defense may have to call a computer expert to talk about how it was downloaded, who may have downloaded. It turns into almost a mini trial within the trial. So what happens is you see that the judges, they don't want to see the trial spin off into a whole different direction, and so that it doesn't become a trial about whether he had child porn or not. So they genuinely try to limit that kind of thing, both for that reason and for just the sheer prejudicial value of it.
You know, and I appreciate what you're saying, and I guess you can also appreciate the frustration of people when they're hearing about this because it seems to speak to his character. But you're right, there were other people who had access to his laptop, and that was admitted during some of the discussions that they were having in court. There was something else, though, that he had downloaded. It was a Hollywood movie called Gardens of the Night about the abduction of a young blonde girl, who ends up becoming a sex slave. How about something like that has a parallel, not the same story, admittedly, but a parallel to what happened in this case?
Well, that gets to be closer, and that's a closer call for the judge because what you get into is almost a pattern of behavior, and it's strange because if, for example, there had been a similar incident with Mr. Rafferty to this incident where he had abducted a child or was accused of it, the judge would likely let that in. This is a movie about child abduction, and it somewhat parallels this situation. So it would have been an interesting call by the judge to see whether he would actually let a movie in that sort of resembles what happened here. I honestly still don't think he would have let it in. I think, again, it opens up too many doors where the defendant has to go out and get a computer expert and talk about what's been downloaded and when, and I think it goes way off the direction of the trial. I think that's a closer call, but I still don't think the judge would allow it in.
And then it comes down to the issue, too, about character, or in this case, bad character, and painting really a picture of bad character. Why can't that be part of these deliberations?
This is a great question, and it's one of probably the judge's hardest calls. When you have a number of incidents like you have in this trial where you've got ex-girlfriends who want to talk about things that they think Rafferty did that indicate he had issues that may have gone directly to what happened in this case, or, for example, the accused rape at one point that was eventually not charged, that's a tough call for a judge. But what happens is, again, you get in the same situation where, let's take, for example, the woman who accused him of rape. You get into a situation where then it turns into a mini trial. He's going to bring in witnesses about that woman and her credibility in his defense. The Crown is now going to have to bring in witnesses to sort of buck her up, her credibility, and you get again into a whole mini trial. So character, it's frustrating for the public a lot of times because they say, well, why can't the jury have seen what this guy is really like? But the problem you get into is you start going off into these mini trials and you start going off into issues that don't relate directly to this case. The other problem you get into is quite simple. People often commit a number of bad acts in their life, and then they may be accused of something they really didn't do. So what happens is, if the evidence is allowed in of these other acts, they end up getting convicted of something they didn't do, based on the fact that, quite frankly, they're just a bad person.
Yeah, and I think I know where the court of public opinion rests on this one after the information that came out today. Pat Harris, appreciate the insight. I think you've helped us all understand the case a little bit more tonight. Thanks so much for your time.
It's my pleasure anytime.